Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Review. I'm Phil Hargis. This is my favorite time of year. This is the holiday season. This is the fantasy football playoff season. So it's good to see you guys again here. The fantasy playoffs are in full effect now. This is the best time of the year. Hopefully, you guys all survived your playoff games last weekend like I did in one of my leagues, out of one of my many leagues. But we have a whole panel of experts. I couldn't figure out who the best experts would be to have on the show this week for you guys. So I brought them all in. So here they are. We have a new guest today. This is Larry Lagallo here. He is one of the guys that plays in Matt's league since Matt got knocked out of the league last week because I beat him in the craziest of tiebreakers, which we'll talk about here shortly. He's gone, so we have Larry in the house. He's going to talk about our matchup. I play him this week in my local fantasy league. We have Clara Markowski, who's back from vacation down in Florida, getting a nice tan down there and enjoying the nice Florida sunshine weather down there. Clara, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much, Phil. It's great to be back.
It's great to see you again. And we get better. I don't recognize this guy at the end there because he hasn't shaved in about 5 weeks. But Robbie Casper, I think that's you back there. And
that's
that
right.
Big beard. And you're looking good, man. Surprisingly, you look like Ben Roethlisberger or something.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go at, minus the broken foot.
Yeah, that's a sad shame, but at least the ladies will love you all the same. So anyway, guys, it's playoffs have started. I don't know if you guys, Robbie, how you doing playoff-wise? Clara, anything going on? Let's hit it up right from the beginning here.
Finished. Never made the playoffs in any of my leagues.
Well, you're supposed to lie about that kind of thing. We have a fantasy football show here.
Well, you told me to draft some of the guys that I drafted, like Philip Rivers, and no, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure I totally drafted.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Now, I drafted Chris Johnson. I had the 7th pick overall. I took him 7th overall.
So good picks.
Better luck next year, right?
And Clara actually was on vacation, like I was mentioning down in Florida.
I was on vacation.
And she texted me from poolside. She started Tony Romo or Michael Vick last weekend. Clara,
well,
what I tell
you? You're a lot older than me. I trusted my elders, to give me some advice.
Yes,
so
the great advice is very beneficial.
That was behind that. Anyway, with my other league, I was winning. I won about 3 games in a row, made playoffs. I come back from vacation and I'm up by 1 point. The guy I'm playing has Seattle D. I come back. I sit in front of the TV. Matt Stafford takes a sack. I lost by 0.8 points. Phil, I'd rather lose by 40.
Oh,
it was bad.
That's funny you say that. Actually, Larry and I can share with you a better story. I was playing my game with Matt last week, and I picked up Seattle's defense specifically for that game against the Rams, and I also had Marshawn Lynch going, which looked to be a dream matchup. I was down by 46 points going into the Sunday night game. I had Romo, the Seattle defense, and Marshawn Lynch. And a touchdown.
And Matt had Victor Cruz.
A non-performance league. It was basically all touchdowns in yardage. And I had a big game from Romo. That put me within striking distance. I was down by 20 going into the Monday night game. And then right off the bat, I got the touchdown from the Seattle defense, which was nice because that's always a bonus in a touchdown-only league. And then Marshawn Lynch kind of struggled to the end. And then, Larry, tell the audience how I won that game at the end there.
It was pretty incredible. Phil basically needed a Marshawn Lynch touchdown and him to go over 100 yards, and then for Seattle defense to get at least 1 point when St. Louis got the ball back.
The sack,
Marshawn Lynch runs for a 16-yard garbage touchdown. Total just puts him up by 17 points. They didn't need it at all, but he ran right around the sidelines, scored the touchdown. So now Phil's down by 1 point against Matt. Matt's still up by 1 point. And St. Louis gets the ball back. Sam Bradford goes back to pass on 2nd down and takes a sack.
With a minute 11 to go.
It turns into a tie game. And
not even a minute 11 to go. He takes that sack, and then they hand it off to Steven Jackson.
It was about 12 seconds to go.
He hands it off to Steven Jackson for them to finish the game. It's like, just throw the ball away.
The fantasy gods eventually are on your side after all these years of playing.
What Matt did to deserve that, man? That's
He came on the show.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why I brought Larry on the show. We're going to talk about our matchup later on the show. I can't wait to get to that.
I don't fall victim to the same jinx.
There were some wild games, last weekend, guys. I mean, the biggest one that comes to mind we have to start off with is I don't know, there's two. There's a tie. Let's have a little vote here. What was the bigger game last weekend? The Giants in Dallas or Denver and Chicago?
Giants in Dallas.
I think Denver and Chicago was the craziest finish.
I thought so too, but the more I think about it,
down 10-0,
with 2 minutes to go,
Broncos didn't score the whole entire game up until the 5-minute mark, and then they need Chicago to go 3 and out both times, and they did, and then they got pushed out of bounds on Marion Barber. Then Marion Barber fumbles in overtime. Yep. So that was the odds of that happening was 1 in 800,000.
But you have to look at, Jay Cutler hurt, Matt Forte hurt. No one really expected them to go far. You look at Dallas and Giants, and, Dallas is #1 in the NFC East. They fall to the Giants. Dallas went from being #1 to falling to not even being in the wild card. They're in the hunt now. I think that was great.
That was the bigger impact.
The bigger impact game, but the best game I thought was the Bears.
The most
Broncos.
exciting finish was Bears Broncos. I agree.
Okay, so moving on, there were some other big games. We had some high-scoring games here. Certainly the Saints and Tennessee game was very exciting and everything. The Redskins, they held on there for dear life. Larry, you were at that game.
I was.
They put up a pretty good fight against New England.
They did.
We kind of thought they
made
might.
me nervous for a while. That pass interference penalty at the end kind of saved the Patriots secondary, which is just falling apart week after week. So
the Redskins always do like some other stupid penalty, whether it be on special teams or offensive.
I was counting on
defense,
that. Yes, they do.
Yeah, it kind of cost them
a
again.
fun fact about that game is
Fun facts. We like fun facts.
Fun fact.
Fun fact from Clara Markowski.
that was the only away team that the Patriots haven't beaten. So I'm glad we could accommodate for that.
Oh yeah, we always like to erase some sort of.
Of course,
monkey on the
way to go
back
Redskins.
Of,
it was the only team that they hadn't beaten away. So
Thanks for that.
We're good about that. Ending long-term losing streaks. The Redskins.
We only play in Washington once every 8 years, so the last time we played was probably. I'm a Pats fan, by the way, so it was probably.
Oh, really? Couldn't tell.
But they kick our ass in the preseason all the time.
Quarterback or.
Mark Ribbon was our best quarterback. Yeah.
Right.
We haven't had a good quarterback since Mark
Maybe that's
Ribbon.
the last time the Patriots played.
We could debate whether or not Mark Rippon was actually a very good quarterback too. But let's move on. Actually. We got a lot of stuff to talk about here. The thing I really want to get to is the matchups for this week, but we do have Juliet. There was a lot of surprising injuries, like the Greg Jennings thing was really surprising. I'm interested to see what his status is. We do have Juliet Delp standing by in the news center to tell us what is going on with the injury report and the NFL Week 15 news.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Fantasy Sports Review News Center. I'm Juliet Delp with your official NFL news update. A huge blow occurred to the Dallas Cowboys Sunday night. Their star rookie running back DeMarco Murray is out for the season after suffering an ankle injury against the Giants. Murray was having a fantastic season, and this injury could not have come at a worse time. The Green Bay Packers suffered a major loss when wideout Greg Jennings hurt his knee running a pass route against the Oakland Raiders. Jennings suffered a sprained knee, but that means he will miss the rest of the regular season. Bad news for you fantasy owners. Jimmy Graham of the New Orleans Saints suffered a back injury Sunday against the Titans. Graham was helped off the field but practiced Tuesday. He should be expected to play and give fantasy owners the boost they need in the playoffs. Darren McFadden might play on Sunday, but he has still not received the okay from his doctors. McFadden, who has missed the last 6 games, is 50% on whether he will suit up this weekend. Michael Bush has filled in, but if McFadden can go, he is a must-start. Monitor his status closely. Wideout Mike Thomas has been ruled out for this week with a head injury. Thomas, who leads the Jags in receiving, hurt himself against the Bucs. This is a blow to some of you owners because Thomas has been affected the last few weeks of the season. Thank you for joining me in the Fantasy Sports Review News Center. I'm Juliet Delp. Now back to Phil and Robbie in the studio.
All right, guys. We talked about Greg Jennings going in. We heard about Greg Jennings. I mean, here we go. The Green Bay Packers have a chance to pursue perfection. Do you do that and risk, like this happened to the Patriots a few years ago? I don't remember if it was a perfect year or not, but Welker got hurt going into the playoffs. Do you risk your starting players in pursuit of perfection?
I say you do. I say you play them and go for the win. If you start benching everybody every week, it's just you're going to end up we've seen both things happen. When you bench players, you go into the playoffs. The Colts have done it a few times. They go into the playoffs a little flat, a little cold, and so I say you just play them and roll the dice.
The whole game,
stay healthy.
Or like
not necessarily the whole game, but you don't be overly cautious with them.
Now, do you say that because you want all those Packers to get hurt so the Patriots win the Super Bowl?
Yes, that's why I want to protect.
Clara, what do you
think? And I think that this year is a perfect example because you look at the lockout and I look at all the injuries that have happened. I think all the injuries is a direct relation to the lockout. Not playing as much and the injuries, So I think absolutely you play them at least till the third quarter, so they can keep playing.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, if you bench a guy, it was still in the third quarter when this happened.
They were up 31-0.
But it does. You know what? Even up 41-0, it's a well-oiled machine that if offense needs to keep going.
That's
they're
the
not going to try
doing things.
Right, and they're not going to go and take plays off, which is fine. So I totally agree with playing Greg Jennings. What are you going to put in your 5th-string wide receiver? Doesn't really. Know the game that well. I mean, what happens if Oakland does come back?
Well, their 5th-string wide receiver does play all the time, whoever that might be, James Jones or whatever.
They
have all their.
So, I mean, you know what? I don't know why you bench Greg Jennings. And, he probably only played maybe, out of those, first 10 snaps, maybe like seven snaps. So it happens. Injuries happen. And he's only had 2 to 3 weeks. It sucks for a fantasy perspective, but he's going to be back for the playoffs.
It's a scary proposition. I mean, for a team like that, I mean, it's trying to balance that act going into the playoffs. I mean, I don't know what the right answer is or whatnot, but let's move on to the quarterbacks that have been hot for the last few weeks. Let's see if there's anybody on this list here that comes to mind. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys, the Breeze, the Newton, Rodgers, Mannings, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Jake Locker's on that list, and I know that Robbie wants to talk about John Skeleton a little bit there in Arizona. I mean, that's one of your boys over there.
Could be the Redskins quarterback next year, right, Phil?
Yeah, he's actually been a pretty good fantasy quarterback. Man. Grossman hasn't been that bad.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, seriously, he could be the Redskins quarterback. That'd be pretty exciting. Let's move on to the running backs here. Your boy Maurice Jones-Drew is one of the hottest running backs in the NFL right now.
That's correct. He's been doing it, and I traded Chris Johnson for him earlier in the season, and it looked to be a little worrisome.
That's crazy that he was still available.
Well, I traded Chris Johnson away to somebody that went after Chris Johnson had a rough start. I traded for Maurice Jones-Drew, and he's come through for me. He's
basically the guy that saved me in the playoffs.
Maurice Jones-Drew?
Yep, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, he's been hotter than hell the last couple of weeks.
Two running touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He's a machine. He almost got 40 points from me last
A total machine. And we'll get to the tight ends here in a second. I guess an interesting stat for that. Ray Rice, Marshawn Lynch has obviously been a gold mine for a guy you pick up in the middle rounds, like the 8th and the 9th round. This guy's been a beast.
Who got Ray Rice in the 8th or 9th round?
No, Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, Marshawn Lynch. Good.
Ray Rice,
Call.
Marshawn Lynch. Ray Rice is actually the guy that I predicted. I hope he increases his production here pretty soon, because I called it on the show here preseason that Ray Rice would end up as the number 1 running back. Right now, McCoy and Foster a little bit ahead of him, but he's up there in the top where he should be.
Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson, Chris Johnson, those guys. I mean, Foster did fight back after missing the first 3 games.
He did.
Sean Green is a guy that I know Robbie has always loved on this show. I mean, he's finally turned things around now, and is he's putting up some pretty decent numbers the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
starting with the Redskin game.
Well, favorable matchups. I mean, the run D in Washington hasn't been as tight as it was, the first 5 weeks. So he cut him on, sort of a buy, and they took a couple plays off in that Jets game towards the end of the fourth quarter. Let's put it that way. When they were down 14.
Yeah, they were
so Sean Green gets that garbage touchdown at the end for 35 yards.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
But then last week, playing the Kansas City Chiefs, they have a good run D. He played pretty well, so maybe he starts to step up here. But the Jets are kind of scary down the stretch. Like we were referred to, they're 8-5 right now. And looking pretty good as an 8-5.
So clearly Rex Ryan was right and scared the crap out of us.
Wait, this is public action.
Yeah, seriously.
You can say the S word all you want to on this show.
Scared the shit out of Mark
There we go.
Sanchez.
Scared the shit out of him. Here the Mark Ingram makes this list again. Moving on to the wide receivers. Percy Harvin. I mean, they're kind of a crapshoot. The receivers always go in waves here. Victor Cruz has been pretty solid. Laurent Robinson, a blast out of nowhere. He's been awesome for Dallas.
The question is, what has happened to Calvin Johnson the past few weeks?
Yeah, I hope that trend continues.
Not
a nice
even
downward
Calvin Johnson.
trend.
What has happened to Detroit over the past few weeks?
That's another story too. But Stafford's been at least finding the end zone a little bit.
Too many distractions. You guys, before we get into the matchups here for this weekend, let's find out what's going to be happening weather-wise, because we're all going to be out there in our local areas, tailgating, get ready for these games here. This has been kind of a weird global warming kind of year. I mean, the temperatures have been pretty good so far this winter. They've been mild. We haven't seen any good blizzards or anything in any of these games. I hope they come up pretty soon, but we have to know what's going on with the weather at all these games. There's a lot of dome games this weekend, but we're going to ignore those. But we have a new weather girl, Katrina, standing by in the weather center, and she's taking over for Nikki, who's watching the Nutcracker Ball tonight downtown somewhere. So, Katrina, please take it away and tell us what's going on with this weekend's games.
Hi, welcome to the Fantasy Sports Review Center. I'm Katrina, filling in for, what's her name? Lisa? What's that girl's name again? Oh, right, Kiki. Oh, Nikki, sorry. While Nikki's off getting her nuts cracked, I'm here to blow you away with my hurricane force of a weather report. Okay, let's get on with our storm of NFL games. This weekend, our home team, the Washington Redskins, jump on a party bus and head up north in hopes of crushing the postseason dreams of the New York Giants, whom we fondly refer to here as the G-Girls. The Giants are coming off an emotional week after their miraculous comeback against the Cowboys. Will they have anything left for the Skins after blowing up Sunday night? Hopefully not. Weather in the Big Apple will be cloudy with temps in the mid-40s. Finally, Saturday Night Football is back, and our NFC enemies, the Dallas Cowgirls, fresh out their frustrating defeat Sunday night, head to hot and sunny Florida to face off against the Bucks. Look for the Cowboys to stay away from Mons Venus and focus on getting back on track in this game. They'll shut down the overhyped LeGarrette Blount and force the Bucks to jump ship in this battle, all of course while scoring lots and lots of booty in the process. They'll get their suntans on as the temps soar to the upper 70s in the beautiful Florida sunshine. The Miami Dolphins head to the snowfall capital of the East to battle divisional rival Buffalo Bills. We may have our first chance for a blizzard this year as the temps drop to the low 30s, and with any luck and some nice wet moisture off Lake Michigan, go blue, we may get to see our very first blizzard game of the year. Keep those snow buddies close by. The smoking hot, salmon-eating, and skittle-throwing Seattle Seahawks have worked their way into the thick of the playoff hunt, if you can believe that. They fly east before landing in Chicago to face the ever-so-dilapidated Bears, a team that knows every nook and cranny of the hospital this season, and is holding on to a playoff spot for dear life, believe it or not. If the Stinkhawks win this game, Seattle and Chicago will each have a 7-7 record. Unreal stuff, folks. A typical chilly December day as temps will only rise to the mid-30s, but you'll be sitting out there in some gorgeous sun. So bring your shades, grab some Italian beef, and while you're at it, say Merry Christmas to the very first person you see at the stadium. Go ahead and do it. Tell them Katrina sent you. Andrew Whitworth is on the cusp of his first Pro Bowl, and the Cincinnati Bengals get to pound on the hapless St. Louis Rams in the Dome. So no weather issues to worry about here. The only precipitation there will be the accumulation of massive points on the Cincy side of the scoreboard. Another weatherless Dome game as Tennessee heads into a titanic showdown against the winless Colts. Indianapolis certainly won't get a chance to host a Super Bowl in their stadium this year. Hello, Andrew Luck. In the most meaningless game of the week, the Browns and Cardinals square up in a dome. No weather to report there. The playoff-bound Saints march right up to Minnesota in hopes of raising the roof there. Another Dome game that no one really cares about, so let's move on to the next one. Real quick, besides Green Bay, who is the hottest team in the NFL? Houston is. That's right. Despite losing their quarterback, Matt Schaub, for the season, one of the best wideouts in the NFL in Andre Johnson for most of the season, and NFL leading running back Arian Foster for the first 3 games, this team has still managed to win 7 straight games and play some suffocating defense while at it. The Panthers have no chance here. But there is a chance for rain, and the temps in H-Town will near 60 degrees. Speaking of hot teams, the undefeated Packers travel to Kansas City to pound on the Chiefs. Look for Aaron Rodgers and company to put up 30 by halftime. Against this ragtag group of players who lost team leaders Matt Castle and Jamal Charles this year due to injury, as well as fired coach Todd Haley. Rough year. Welcome to the NFL. Weather in KC is going to be nice and sunny with temps around 45. In one of the games of the day, 2 teams fighting for their playoff lives. The Detroit Lions leave the warm comfort of Ford Field and head over to the Black Hole in Oakland to wage war with the Silver and Black. This should be one of the ugliest and dirtiest games you've ever seen played. Nice and partly sunny weather and temps in the mid-50s. A must-win situation for the New York Jets as they take on the Eagles. A decent day in football in the city of brotherly love and Rocky Balboa. Partly sunny skies and temps in the mid-40s. Another big game here, and one of my personal favorites, the Denver Broncos will host the New England Patriots. How many Brady versus Tebow comparisons will we get? The fraud known as Tebow will be exposed this week in a major way as Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and the rest of New England head into Mile High City, the city that gets over 300 days of sunshine each year, where it could snow a foot one day and then be 80 degrees the next day. But for Sunday, look for it to be partly sunny as usual and an unseasonably warm 42 degrees at kickoff. Later, Tebow. For Sunday Night Football, we have the Baltimore Ravens heading west to face the LOL of the year team, the San Diego Chargers. This is so funny to me. Experts think fans keep picking the San Louisville Chargers to win the West. They're consistently the most overrated team in the NFL, and this year is no exception. With Baltimore battling it out with Pittsburgh for the division and New England and Houston for the number 1 or 2 seed and a first-round playoff bye, Harbaugh will have these guys ready to ball. San Diego gets dismantled at home in a nice warm day in San Diego. Now, for Monday Night Football, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers heading to the West Coast to play the 49ers. Like I just said, Pittsburgh is still duking it out for a division title and possible first-round bye. San Fran needs to rest Frank Gore and get ready for a playoff run of their own, and have basically clinched a first-round bye, so look for Pittsburgh to come out with their guns blazing with this one. Should be a good game with tons of fantasy implications. Nice warm night in the Bay with temps in the mid-50s. And that'll do it. Thank you very much for tuning in to see me. It's been a pleasure taking you around the NFL and the country this week's Weather Report. Lots of action, and I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. Hopefully your teams all win their playoffs this weekend, and you march one step closer to a league championship. This is Katrina signing off from the Fantasy Sports Review Center. Now back to Phil, Clara, and Robbie in the studio.
Thanks a lot, Katrina, for stepping in and telling us all about this weekend's weather. You just actually set a Fantasy Sports Review 10-year record for the longest weather segment in the history of this show. But very well done, and I love the Christmas motif. Very nice hat and very nice halo. So we have an exciting new segment here that we introduced last week on the Pick the Better Team thing. It was very popular. All the fans loved it. They had a chance to go on to fantasyreview.com and register with their favorite votes. So we're going to do it again this week, guys. We have 2 teams that I've stacked up from 2 of our most popular fans here on the show. I'm going to read you the teams. I want you guys to tell me which one you think is better. Starting with Robbie. Well, here are the lineups, Robbie. Team 1 has Tony Romo, Marshawn Lynch, Michael Turner, Marquez Colston, A.J. Green, Steve Johnson, Damian Williams, Alex Henry, and the kicker from the Eagles, and the Seahawks defense. Team 2, and look at the cheat sheet there, has Matt Stafford, Michael Bush, Maurice Jones-Drew, Dwayne Bowe, Calvin Johnson, Rob Gronkowski, Vernon Davis, and Nick Novak. Take a peek, and what do you think?
I think I like Team 2 because I like his quarterback matchup against Oakland after Aaron Rodgers torched that secondary.
You mean Ryan Grant?
Or Ryan Grant.
So
or whatever way you want to, whatever way you want to say it.
Great game.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game in Oakland. It's going to be nice weather. Tom Brady played well in Oakland. I think Matt Stafford plays well in Oakland. I like Tony Romo at Tampa Bay. If the Jacksonville Jaguars can put up 41 points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cowboys should be able to put up at least 50.
Do you like Bush this weekend?
You know what? I don't like Michael Bush. Going against that stout defense of Detroit, I don't see him stockpiling any touchdowns really, or maybe they do get inside the red zone. They might pound them, but I don't see Carson Palmer really moving the ball against the Detroit Lions. And then you look at the wide receivers. Maurice Jones-Drew is an animal. He'll get his touchdown. But Dwayne Bowe and you, Larry, you're right. Calvin Johnson kind of been non-existent. Maybe he shows up against the depleted Oakland secondary. 2 guys are out, Huff's out, and Johnson's out for the Raiders. That's also pretty big. But looking ahead, A.J. Green didn't have a touchdown last week. Might get one this week, I feel. He's got a good matchup against St. Louis, so I like Team 2, though.
Clara, what do you think about this matchup real quick?
Team 2, because I'm just going to say 2 things. Maurice Jones-Drew and Rob Gronkowski can beat your whole team like that. If Jones-Drew gets 40 points like he did last week and Rob Gronkowski gets almost 40 points, they'll be your whole team there.
Well, Clara makes a good point. I mean,
absolutely.
He has the best receiver, the best tight end at those positions. That's kind of hard to argue with. Stafford is solid. He's a top 5 quarterback, if not very close.
That's right.
And Jones-Drew is in the top 3 to 4 or 5 running backs.
And don't sleep on Michael Bush. I don't know where that stout Detroit defense comes from. I know they're getting Duncan Sue back this week, but you can run on them.
All right.
And I know you have your Terry McFadden as a 50-50 to play, but you're about the only one besides Hugh Jackson who feels that way.
An overwhelming majority of you guys that think Team 2 is better. Team 2 is Larry's team here. We brought him on the show. Hopefully the curse of the show will take over and I'll win this game. We'll see what happens.
Time for that to end.
It all goes down this weekend, and there's no stopping it now. Let the cards speak for themselves. Moving on to the matchups, guys. We have 2 minutes to do it, 3 minutes to do it. The first big matchup of the week is Seattle and Chicago. Big game for both teams. Seattle's fought themselves back in the playoffs. Who can win this game? Rob, let's start with you.
I like the Bears in this game. Caleb Haney needs to get a victory. I think Chicago still makes the playoffs. I know Seattle's hot, but in Chicago, they don't really travel that well. I like Chicago.
Chicago's a hard-fighting team. Claire, who do you like?
They don't really travel that well, but I like Seattle. Even though Seattle lost to the Redskins, they've been hot every other game. You know, Chicago did lose really bad to, not really bad, but they lost to Denver. I'm going with Seattle. I'm going with Seattle this game.
I'll take the Bears at home. I think they can win just with their defense.
It's definitely a toss-up. I've been preaching the Bears love all season long. I kind of like the Bears in this one too, even though I want Marshawn Lynch to have a big game and their defense have a big game. I think that the Bears are the better play in this game, unfortunately. Moving on to the next game, we have Detroit and Oakland. This is a huge game for both teams in their respective conferences. Robbie, we're just talking about the stout, Detroit defense here. Let's expand on that.
I like the Lions in this game. I know they don't really travel that well at the West Coast, except for when they did, they played the Denver Broncos and crushed them. I think the same thing. I think the Lions.
All right, Claire, real quick. Detroit and Oakland.
I like the Lions at this game as well. It's just the fact that, Denver did, Oakland didn't even put up a fight against Green Bay. I mean, they didn't even try. I'm going with Detroit at this game.
I'll just take a high-scoring game, a few touchdowns from Michael Bush and some Stafford to Megatron.
I hope it's a pillow fight in that game for sure. Let's move on to the last big game of the day. This is Tebow against Brady, guys. What do you think? We have about a minute to wrap this one up. Who's going to win this one? Is Tebow's magic going to continue?
No, Patriots on a landslide.
Patriots are going to kill.
I think the Tebow dream ends this week.
Patriots in a blowout. We have time for one more game here. Pittsburgh and San Francisco. Roethlisberger, should he play? Frank Gore, should he play? What do you guys think about that one?
Gore's going to play. Roethlisberger should not play. If Roethlisberger goes, he's going to get crushed against that really good defense in San Francisco. I like Jim Harbaugh. He's been coaching his butt off. San Francisco.
Claire's shaking her head.
Absolutely not. San Francisco is not good. They have just an awful conference that they play in. San Francisco is going to beat. I know they're making the playoffs. They're going to beat out the first game of the season. Pittsburgh's going to win in a landslide.
If it were anybody else besides Ben Roethlisberger, I'd say probably not to play with that injury. But with Big Ben, I think he finds a way to get out there.
That is a very tough game to pick here because San Francisco has nothing to play for. Pittsburgh is still fighting for the 1 seed and their division. It's a tough one. I have to go with Pittsburgh in this one for sure. It just makes too much sense. But hey, Robbie, good to see you again. Clara, good to see you. Nice tan.
Good to be here.
Larry, thanks for coming on the show. I hope the curse continues on this show. And Steve, thank you for directing. And Katrina and Juliet, thanks for your segments. And we will see you guys next week in the Fantasy Playoff Super Bowl next time on Fantasy Sports Review. Bye-bye, everybody.